And so welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Randy Byrd here for the ByrdHouse Beem team meeting. Super excited to combine forces, lock arms, and provide you guys a lot of value specifically to help your businesses. So today what I'm going to be talking about is the science of the brain and how we can ask powerful questions and how we can have conversations that are going to move the needle in our relationships with buyers and sellers. And by the way, this will have massive impact into your personal relationships, your personal friendships, and some of these other things that communication really is the key of. So I'm going to share my screen and let me pull it up here. You should see my screen now. Somebody give me a verbal because I can't see you anymore.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
sir.
I'm going to start the slideshow. So look good?
Yep, looks great.
All right. Beautiful. I appreciate it. I cannot see you. So if you have a question, just say something and ask me along the way, because I want you to understand this. And I am going to go fairly fast. This is recorded, as well as I'm happy to provide any of the content. It's always about you having the tools. So even though it may go fast, understand that we can visit it. So first of all, big congrats to Andrea and the team. I saw everybody there for the most part. What an amazing event. We had in Lebanon, 100+ people. You see the speakers there. I think it was just a win-win all around, and we had some real horsepower in the room. But Andrea, great job on what you and Ferial and Glenn and the whole organization are doing. You're making a difference, and it's really, I just want to acknowledge you. Really a powerful event. So, science of the brain. Great communication, great questions. Inspired to write this on my success certification program. It really is breaking down into the disc and the reason that we communicate, the reason that we have limiting beliefs and all this stuff to really help move the needle in coaching clients. But so much of that value is going to be brought into the team to help you specifically move the needle in your own businesses through communication and in my belief in your lives and communication. So this might be pretty deep conversation, some of it for a lunch meeting, but you're going to get it. So presuppositions, presuppositions are basically the linguistic assumptions or clues about what someone thinks. So when you're having conversations with buyers and sellers, this is where I'm going to focus this attention today, because that affects you and your business. Having powerful questions and really listening for specific items that they're talking about, and then using some, NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and some language, we could really take the upper hand and even have an unfair advantage in our business dealings with clients. And so this is where I think it's the most powerful opportunity for you to understand some of these things as we go. And I'm going to ask for a little bit of contribution stuff as we progress here. But presuppositions basically are thoughts impact your beliefs, right? So you start with a thought pattern. It could be clean your plate, eat all your food, money doesn't grow on trees. All these things are presuppositions into your language, right? And your belief systems. So thoughts impact beliefs, beliefs impact your actions, and then your actions impact your results. These are all related. If you're not getting results, we could look at what your beliefs are. If we're not getting, our beliefs are not in a place, if we have some limiting beliefs, then those are going to impact what thoughts that you have and how you mentally react to those thoughts along the way. So how this plays into your real estate, business is building rapport. We talk about rapport being probably the number one thing that is going to build trust with the relationship, buyer and seller. Julie and I were just having a quick conversation about how she has a client that went to another agent in town because they believe that they're going to get some better support and some different things. Well, by asking great questions and really getting into these dialogues, we can not only get to know the clients, but we can actually have an unfair advantage in the communication we have with them and build a lot of rapport, which leads to trust along the way. But great questions to build immediate rapport and trust with clients. And one question, for instance, is when you meet a new client, what is an example of a great realtor to you, right? What's a great example of a great realtor to you? What's it mean to you? and let them answer it, right? Just be quiet and let them answer what that looks like. And as we go through this communication mastery, there's a language called chunking up and chunking down. It sounds a little weird, but really, if you think about it, you're either digging down to get to the real root of what they're having limited beliefs around or what their past experiences are. And chunking up is going more superficial in the conversation, but getting the big picture. Like if I asked somebody this morning in my class, I said, what's your big why? Like, what's your greatest why? And they're like, oh, I want to have success. Okay, why do you want success? Well, I want to show my family that I can support them. Why do you want to show your family you can support them? Well, because if I did that, I could be the man I want to be. Okay, why do you want to do that? Well, I could be the picture of who I want to be to my grandkids. And I was like, dug into that a little bit. And we got into a grandkid conversation that really was her why, but she started with family. So because we were able to chunk along in this chunking strategy, we could keep digging in, either going up and chunking up, meaning that if somebody starts with a who, what, why, or something, chunking up would be taking it to the bigger picture. Like, what's the real big picture? And then chunking down is once you get the big picture, say Andrea wants to impact thousands of people around the world. Okay, that could be her great big why, but all the little things that, why are you doing that? What comes into value in that, right? So an example of an up is, what does a perfect experience in the home buying or selling process look like to you? And then again, focus on the big picture and ask big questions. This is not details like, I'm going to submit offers, I'm going to negotiate the hardest for you. That could be, but likely it's going to be around trust and professionalism and success record and making sure that you're going to handle their needs the best suited. So some of those big questions can get you there in that conversation. And then the next one's chunking down. So say, for instance, you do get to somebody that says, I've never found an agent in my life that really cares about me. I had this gal, Jill, that we were like best friends. We went all the time. I trusted her, but we moved. Now their identity is they trusted Jill and they became good friends, right? So you could chunk down into that and say, who was Jill to you when you met? What did Jill do specifically that allowed her to gain that trust with you? When, how long in the relationship did Jill earn that trust with you? Why was that important to you? Right? How did that make you feel once you realized you had a trusted source in the real estate business as an agent representing you? So those are just some examples of chunking down once you've established what their big why or what their big thing is. And so down is more details around the big goal, right? If their goal is to find another Jill, then you could chunk down and get into that. And another example is, who have you had this experience with? If they're being generic, when do you want this completed by is another specific chunking down. And then why is this decision important to you? How would this help you, your family, or your finances, right? So these are discovery questions to allow you to really represent them on the big why of the domino that's going to change the impact with them. And so now what I'd like to do is think about this for a minute in a real, experience with you. And I'd like to have just a minute of dialogue actually around this. So I'm going to stop the screen share for a minute, but tell me a time that you either had an experience with a buyer or seller and you were working on building rapport, or you want some direction in how you might be able to put this into a real world experience that you're having now.
Well, one client I have right now, we're friends before, and she chose to use me over the guy that helped. So to wrap it all up, her father passed away, and the agent that helped her father buy that house, she thought about going back to him, but she came to me, And just over this last weekend, I was over there. We were finishing up getting everything cleaned out of the garage and doing some yard work and stuff to get it prepped for photos this week. And she said a couple of things, and she says, "You don't do this for every client." And I was like, "No, I do it for friends." And and she stopped and she just said, "I'm so happy that I chose you, because I don't think I would have gotten this anywhere else." And especially from the guy that helped us buy this house. And
Wow.
we already had the rapport of being friends before then, but I just thought that just took it to a whole new level.
Wow, that's really powerful, Clint. So what do you think was the decision on her, if you haven't asked her, to pick you over the other guy? You told us a little bit about it, but what do people on the call think? Why do you think they chose him over the other agent?
Why do I think?
No, I'm asking everybody else
Okay.
on the call. Why do you think that client chose Glenn over the other agent?
Well,
Because
in
he
part
took the
because they were
time.
made to feel special.
Yes. What else? I'm sorry.
Oh, he took the time to spend with her.
Okay. I think there's something before that. I think there's trust. There was trust in the friendship that superseded the experience and or the knowledge of the house particularly, right? So what about if Glenn didn't have that experience trust with her as a friend? What about if that was a lead call? How could he have gained that trust over the other agent's potential experience or past sell? So it could be questions like this. Let's say Glenn is the client. I say, Glenn, first of all, I'm sorry about your loss. It's probably a large emotional experience that you're going through, and now you have to deal with other things that are real estate related. What are your greatest needs and requirements out of selling your parents' house?
I just feel overwhelmed with everything right now. Anything you could take off my plate would be extremely helpful.
I appreciate you sharing that. And I know you have other choices and options when it comes to agents, but I'd like to explore a little bit to find out how I can be that agent for you, because I believe I could deliver on that need of yours. Could you be specific in what would be the most impactful thing to take it off your plate right now?
Somebody to come and go through the house and hold an estate sale. We've gone through it and picked out the stuff that we don't need. Like
Okay.
all the keepsakes and stuff have already been taken out.
And is it fair to say there's a lot of emotional energy tied to that portion of it?
Yeah.
If I was able to remove that from your complete off your radar, would that be valuable for you?
100%.
Okay. I hear you, and I'm willing to do that for you. And as we progress this conversation, what else comes up for you is something very important that you choose in your agent in this transaction?
Honestly, after getting everything taken out of there and it cleaned out, I just want to sell fast, because I don't want to. I don't want to pay 2 mortgages.
That makes understandable sense to me financially. So if I heard you correctly, the estate sale is really important. Maybe number one for you to remove the emotional energy from that. I can do that for you. And number 2 is a fast sell. So we'll get started on some pre-marketing and some things that basically move us forward in the process faster than we would if we waited till it was all perfectly ready. Would you be okay if we had some pictures and things that were not perfect to move that process forward faster, and then we could add some things later? Would that be okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the effort of time, I'm going to pause, but you can see how I'm digging into these questions, and I'm not answering them. I'm not selling myself. I'm asking questions of Glenn, the seller, of what are important to them. And if I do this properly and I really dig down and chunk down into it, what's his big why right now? What's the number one why that stands out to you in this short conversation? Come on, take your mute off and talk to me. I'm looking right at you, Halsey. What's going on? What's not going on for Glenn's client right now?
Oh man, they're overwhelmed. They have a lot going on. They just, yeah, anything that you can do to help. Like you said, the estate sale.
No, you nailed it. They're in overwhelm, right? The house selling process can be an overwhelm by itself. Right. So saying, hey, this process can already be overwhelming. Let me take that off your plate. The estate sale can be overwhelming. Let me take that off your plate. Let me let you handle the things that you need to be working on, and let me leverage all the other things off of you. That's an immediate rapport builder with that situation. Okay. Everybody feel that, how that builds rapport in that client relationship, and it's going to exceed a past experience or a past knowledge. All those things could be exceeded by what he proved. Friendship prevailed, right? But you could gain this rapport very quickly through these questions. Okay.
Mhm.
Powerful. All right. I'm going to switch back to the presentation. Okay. So chunking down is that who, what, when, where, how. You could remember how I was asking Glenn about these experiences and the things that were important to him, right? And then step one is, what do we really want in a realtor relationship? That was the other kind of structure we talked about before we did the role play. Expand with exploring questions with their answer, digging down like I did. It's an estate sale. She's emotional to it. She's got a lot going on. She's overwhelmed. Reinforcing all those through language and conversation. Missy, I know you're overwhelmed right now, and I'm happy to take this off your shoulders. It is maybe above and beyond what I normally do, but you deserve it. I want to do it for you. I'm honored to do it, right? Working through those languages. Some examples of digging down. I want someone that's a professional. Why is that important would be your question. What does that look like, right? So you can identify it and then keep digging down, because they may say something, I want somebody who wears a suit and tie every day, or I want somebody that responds to their phone calls. It could be completely different. If you ask why it's important and what does that look like, what's your expectations, you're going to build rapport. Knowledgeable. Who do you get knowledge or learning from now is a good question you could ask. What's the most valuable knowledge to offer that I can offer you? If they tell you that, you're going to have keys to the kingdom, right? Trustworthy. Have you had an untrustworthy experience before? You don't want to get into negativity, but curiosity, right? And then last one, has off, like if the client says, I want somebody that has off-market listings. Do you believe there are more homes available than shown publicly? You're getting into their belief system. If they have limiting beliefs that agents are crooks, or, there's more homes that are available, or their agents are hiding them. How often do you want info is a good qualifying question, and also kind of a soft close, right? This is a really cool exercise. If you've seen this video before, hold your peace until the end of it. But I want you to think about selective attention. And here's where I want you to think. Like when I was talking to Glenn right now, I was focused on Glenn. I was focused in digging in to get information to value both of us, right? Almost an unfair advantage, because if I really dig in and listen, I'm going to know what's most important to them. And that is going to be what I'm really focused on serving them and other agents will and are not doing this, right? So I want you to watch this short video. It's a minute long. And how many times do you see the players in white pass the ball? Pay close attention. It happens fast, but I want you to count how many times the players in white shirts pass the ball. Ready? Here we go.
This is a test of selective attention. Count how many times the players wearing white pass the basketball. How many passes did you count? The correct answer is 15 passes. But did you see the gorilla? This video is from research by Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabris and is
I love that video for a lot of reasons, but who missed the gorilla? Okay, I was so focused, and then I got the answer right, and I'm like, yes, I knew I had a great attention span. They were like, gorilla, and I'm like, gorilla? What do you mean gorilla? There was a gorilla, and I had to watch back and see the gorilla, and it made me feel like, holy crap, what? How's that even possible, right? Anybody else notice the S's on the walls in the background? How many S's were there? You didn't even see them. There's 2 S's, then there was 1, then there was 2. So all this is going on in your conversations, right? Our ADD minds and our excitement to talk to them about what's coming up in the conversation, or you hear something that gives you that indication that you're going to get the listing. All of a sudden you start spinning out marketing and strategy and just listed postcards instead of really digging into the conversation, being present in the conversation, counting how many times they passed the ball and watching for the gorilla, right? I think this is a great exercise for you to really focus on when you're having a conversation with a buyer or seller, to try and tune out all the distractions, the phones and the people and the other pieces of it, to really dig in to getting into those questions that allow you to either move up the funnel or down the funnel in that understanding of the communication with them. Okay. Pretty cool exercise, wouldn't you say? All right. So I'm going to share back again. And so now,
this is a test of selective attention.
let me stop that. Where did my presentation go? There it is. Okay. Share. Okay, so what did you see, right? I talked about how many S's were on the walls. Many of you missed those. How many times did the black team pass the ball? No clue, right? Completely no clue. Did you see the gorilla? LOL. How many had white shoes on? Did anybody notice that? It's because our attention was focused into a specific item, an area, which is the white ball. And you had to pay really close attention to it to watch it through some of the maneuvering. What we focus on expands. In language, we can grow deep, meaningful rapport with attention and focus with that intention, right? So if we have the intention of focusing on the white people passing the ball in our conversations, and you could even use this to your benefit when you start talking to a buyer, be intent looking into their eyes, watching their hand motions, listening to the little pieces of their language, and then really focused on the questions that are going to allow you to dig deeper into that presupposition. I can't even say that word very well. Presuppositions. And so next we have, the summary. You could bring the client to open up by focusing on the big picture, need or desire, by asking chunking down questions to build knowledge and rapport with this client. Listen, ask closely, stay in curiosity. And I want to open it up for a couple questions when we're done, but hopefully you saw value in that particular piece. I know it was valuable for me, but what questions do you have from that exercise or that content today?
It reminds me of when I was doing MAPS coaching, Diana Kokoska used to use this example where if you had confetti like dropping, from a ceiling, and you were told to grab as much confetti as you can, and think of confetti as the information that's coming at you in any given moment, that you can only grab 142 pieces or something like that of confetti. And my 142 pieces are different than your 142 pieces that you grab. And they're different than the 142 pieces that Glenn grabs, right? You could be sitting in a conference listening to the same speaker, and we're all grabbing different bits of information. And it's not going to all be the same information. And so that video totally makes me think of that analogy of confetti, of we're all going to look at different things, but especially so when we're told to look at something specific, it's crazy how much you miss in your world.
Absolutely. I love the analogy and the takeaway from that. And when you're really looking at the client conversations, how many times are we already multitasking on our head? How many times have we moved forward past something and then didn't really pay attention to them? And then they call us and say, hey, we've decided to go to somebody else. And it's crushing because you think you had this amazing relationship. Well, if you ask these rapport building questions and you get to where they say the words like, yeah, you're right, you are who I'm looking for, or this is the trust I've been looking for, or this is the characteristics of the agent I've been looking for. Those are when we know we've won the conversation battle, if you will. And so I really encourage you to practice this. You can practice it on yourselves very easily, but really get into a situation to where you're trying to dig deep and find out. And remember, you could also move up the funnel as well. If they're being too granular, you can go, well, tell me why that's important. Get bigger at what's the bigger vision of this? Are you looking for a lifelong realtor, or are you looking for this transactional one to be handled? And by moving them up that funnel, you can get to their big why, right? By the way, this is great for your relationships, great for your friendships. It's great to explore the conversations to get to the true why. Like I said, I had a practice session with a coach today, so they're very educated. And she started out by saying family's number one. And as I dug into this, her number one really wasn't family. It was specifically grandkids. She had 10, 3 are of age she wants to really relate to. They're all boys. She's a female, obviously. And we talked about how we could do that. And so once I got to the why, then I could dig in. How could you do that? How many hours a week would it take? 1.5 hours a week per kid. Okay, 4 hours a week. How many, what can you commit to, right? What's their common interest? It's football. What teams? They all love Arizona Cardinals because they live in Phoenix. And we got into a place to where I got excited about it. She was like, holy shit, this is it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this on Tuesdays. I'm going to buy them helmets. I'm going to get jerseys with our family name on the back. I'm like, holy crap. This was like a practice exercise that like got me in my heart, right? That's where I want you to understand the power of this, getting to know people and digging down to an ability to build immediate rapport, life-changing trust. And that will be a client that never leaves you because they're friends with you and they're going to pick you over somebody else that maybe had the house listed or sold it before. All right. So thank you for being here today. I was really excited to bring this material to you because practiced and internalized, this is really a game changer for you and real estate businesses. Whether it's a new journey or you've been in the business a long time, this can make a difference in your conversations. Okay.
So good, Randy. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for being here and have a powerful week. Happy Monday, everybody. Thanks for time out of your day.
Bye, guys.
Bye for now.
Bye.